All right. Hi there, everybody. Welcome back to this episode of AISH Imperfect podcast. Today, we're talking to Katherine, and she is going to tell us why metaphors work. And I, for one, really am looking forward to this information. Katherine, tell us why metaphors work.
They work because it's the language of the subconscious. Subconscious doesn't work on logic, doesn't work on details, although my Virgo self wishes it did. It works on, it's like a dream. Do you get a dream that makes sense? How many times have you had a dream and you've said, I had the strangest dreams? Aren't they all strange? Because they're symbolic, because that's their language. So when you learn the language of the subconscious, you can have a conversation. Here, I'll give you an example. I have a student who's been in my class now for a couple of years. She's Polish, as in lives in Poland. And I learned recently, looked it up online, to say to her, to greet her in Polish. Dzień dobry is how you greet someone in Polish during the day. And when I said those two words to her, her face lit up. You'd have thought I had just handed her $1 million. That little effort I made, and then I learned to say "Jak się ma," which is "How are you" in Polish. She is delighted. That little simple bit, she's delighted, and that's to me that's the whole epitome of metaphors. If you speak someone's language, don't you get a better response?
Yes.
When I've traveled to foreign countries, I will make sure I know how to say basic things in their language because I want to fit in. I want them to know I'm making an effort because it's respectful. So why wouldn't we do that with the subconscious when we're doing this for therapeutic purposes? Metaphors, and I have to tell you, I've been doing this 37 years, I haven't used a lot of metaphors over the years. However, now that I'm saying that, I remember driving to class one day and it was like a 30-minute drive. I was teaching up in Sacramento. It was 30 minutes to get to the location to teach. And as I was driving, I said to my guides and my intuition, listen, I need something to share with the students that will be meaningful for them for an opening meditation. What you got? And he gave me a metaphor. It downloaded this whole process that was really impactful for them. But I wasn't using it on a regular basis. Things like that would come in. I'd ask for a process. I would apply it, and I would find it to be surprisingly effective. But then I moved to where I am now in San Diego, and I didn't have clientele. I had my practice in Sacramento, but when I moved here, I was starting again. So I had time on my hands. And as a Virgo, no. There's no time. I need to be doing something productive with that time. So I did an informal study on what if I wrote some stories and then applied them to people's situations and kept a chart. We do love our charts. And the chart listed negative emotions, and I would have them rate on a scale of 0 to 10. Where are you on this emotion chart? Then I would do the hypnotherapy session, give them the metaphor, fill out the chart again. Before the next session, tell me where those negative emotions are now. Their negative emotions from a story only dropped 50%. 50%. And I had written a story, and when I write a story, and we have AI these days, so I'm doing more of that. But when I write a story, I will say, all right, here's the client, and the client has this issue. Let's say they lack confidence. And what does this client need to hear in the way of a story that will take them in that new direction? And I know, let's say the client likes gardening. So I'm going to start with a gardening theme. And I'll write for a little bit, and then I'll read what I've written, and then I'll say to myself, so self, am I going in the right direction? And I get a yes or no. No. So I'll go back and I'll erase some of it and I'll say, all right, give me some guidance. Let's use our intuition. This doesn't have to be hard. Where do I need to go with this story for this client next? Now, these days, I am incorporating natal sun and moon and progressed moon. And it personalizes these metaphors in a way that is phenomenal. It changes everything. So now the stories are more impactful. But were these metaphors working before because it is the language of the subconscious? Absolutely.
Catherine, I have a question.
Yes.
Is there a difference between just sharing a personal story, like if I were just sitting with a client and sharing a personal story with them versus us creating a metaphor specifically for them that's also kind of a story format? What's the difference?
I think the difference is you might argue with yourself more about why am I telling a personal story to this client? And I have tried to resist those personal stories that crop up that obviously my intuition is saying, tell them this story. And so I've learned to preface it with, I have this story that's coming to mind because I do think it's meaningful, otherwise it wouldn't be there. Because I feel compelled to tell a personal story with certain clients and certain stories. And that the only explanation I have for that, that's spirit saying they need to hear this story. There's meaning for them in it. And so I'll say, this is coming to mind. I don't know why. I'm gonna share it with you, and you tell me, sit with it, do what you want with it, throw it away. But I can't honestly, well, I don't share this part. I can't stand how I feel until I share that story. Can't stand it. The only answer is to just verbalize it and then let it land. I may never know how it landed, but I think either way you're doing it, if you're feeling like like there's that it's important, like you're being pushed to do it, that's what's important. You're being pushed to do it, then do what you're being encouraged to do.
Hmm. So is I think what you said is there's not really a difference therapeutically with how somebody takes it in if it's not designed for them. They could still have a change of some kind, even with a personal story.
Absolutely. Well, look at Milton Erickson. He told stories about his own life.
Mm, sure did.
He did. And it was therapeutic. The latest book that I wrote on metaphors, I put in the title, or maybe it's the subtitle, Therapeutic Stories and Metaphors. Because aren't they all therapeutic?
Hmm.
Mhm. If
Hmm.
it's an appropriate story, yes.
Yeah, exactly. I've told so many personal stories to clients, and inside I'm thinking, just stop talking. And I can't. I can't not tell them. Yeah, there's a price to pay for stuffing it back down. I'm not willing to pay that price. So either way, I think it's going to have meaning for the client. It's your intuition. It's your spiritual
Mhm.
guidance. Why would
Mhm.
you? Well, I did resist. I was quite good at resisting there briefly, but until I got tired of that feeling that would not go away any other way.
I don't know if I use metaphors a lot in my practice. I have to think about it. I don't, I do in my coaching.
I was, you saw me look at you, right?
Yeah, I feel like in my mind, hypnosis for me and coaching are still in the separate, they're in their own separate ballparks. They're
Mm.
not really, but you know, I use them more in my coaching platform. But Catherine, I need to know what makes a therapeutic metaphor effective. Tell me the secrets.
Well, that is personal to the client.
Okay.
That's the whole thing. And the more personal it can be, I'm learning now to put in because I'm using ChatGPT to at least get it started, and then I will edit what it's given me. But if I put in, let's say I did one this morning for a client, I put into chat that I have a 72-year-old female client, put in her natal sun and moon, her progressed moon, put in the goal, put in her numerological life path, and I said, write an expanded metaphor. And I had it polished and induction I already had ready. And then I put them together. Then I go through and I edit it say, Chad isn't a hypnotherapist, even though I've informed it that it is. And I tell it it's an expert astrologer, but I will still go through and say, let's change this and this. I do some editing. It is so personal. It's it's a game changer. And
Hmm.
it's going to work for this client because it's written precisely for her, not just who she is natally, but who she is emotionally right now. Don't we want to know where they are emotionally? If you can write a metaphor that addresses their current emotional state, that's going to be successful. I
Okay.
had a student in my astrology class who she's been in practice as long as I have, maybe a little longer. And I used her as a demo subject, and I'd written something, an induction for her but with the astrology. And she said she'd never, in almost 40 years, had that kind of hypnotic experience.
Hmm. So
That's
you've
saying
struck gold.
something. Hmm? Say that again.
You've struck gold with this
I'm so excited. You know,
technology.
there are people
Yeah.
in my life who want to know why I'm not retiring. Well, guess why? Can't go anywhere now.
Wow. Yvonne, do you use metaphors in your practice?
You know, when I saw this topic, I thought I use them for deepeners, sometimes for inductions. I don't really use it as a modality for change, though. So I just got a new tool. So it's
Uh-huh.
great. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm inspired too. How about you,
Yeah.
Kelly?
Yeah, I integrated. It's always I use various metaphors in my first session intake. And I use them even in my prep, the intake discussion portion of it. I'll often use the farmer and the eagle metaphor because I think it's so cool and everybody gets it. It's kind of a universal one, but typically, I am um, folding in, integrating metaphors in my first initial session always. It's just cemented in there.
I do, just in case people out there watching don't know this, did not explain your metaphors. Don't explain the metaphor to the client.
No,
Never.
never.
Just drop the
Mm-mm.
metaphor and that's it.
And why is that?
Because everybody's going to have their own interpretation of that metaphor.
That's right.
Everybody's subconscious is different.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. And their subconscious will realign and recalibrate that within them.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's really kind of cool how it just bypasses the critical factor automatically. It's pretty incredible.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a direct inroad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It really is. Instead of taking the side streets, you're heading straight for the issue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been using, I've like Kelly, I have a standard metaphor I used in the first session. And I had a client come to me a few years back since I've been down here, and she'd been having nightmares for 25 years, 2 and 3 times a week. And she screamed so loudly, she said she was surprised the neighbors hadn't called the police. Because of my first question was, why did you wait 25 years to deal with this? But here she is. She's ready to do something about it. But for whatever reason, I felt like instead of doing the hypnotic dream work that I would normally do in that situation, because it was the first session, I used a standard first session metaphor. And she came back in for a subsequent follow-up session. And I said, so where are you with your nightmares? Oh, she said, I'm not having nightmares. She turned around to this person who was chasing her to kill and maim and rape her. She turned around and put a stop to it, stopped him cold. So she said she took charge. And that, so she came with a whole fresh thing to work on. And that if I needed anything to reinforce how effective metaphors can be, the side door works. And a metaphor is a perfect example of a side door. I'm going to tell you this. There's a whole setup I do. I'm going to tell you this therapeutic story, and your subconscious mind will get the point of the story and start that healing process for you. And you can listen consciously or not. You can just let your mind drift off. It doesn't matter. The story isn't for your conscious mind, it's for your subconscious. Although I had one client I was using metaphors with her for her IBS, and she said, well, I really don't like that metaphor you used with me. And she said, so I stopped listening to that one. I'm listening to the first one we did. And I said, no, 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 no. This one's important. That it's not for your conscious mind. Yeah, she wasn't one of my easier clients. It's it's fun, it's easy for them. It makes a profound shift in their conscious, in their awareness, and moves them gently toward their goal.
Mm. I feel like the longer I'm practicing. Uh, I have to reinforce this for myself periodically, or I come back to it that there's just very little for me to do. The subconscious is going to do all the work. I don't have to be overdoing my role. I can just make this really simple and they are doing all the work anyway. So if there's any practitioners out there who get themselves all in knots because they want to do a perfect job or, you know, just let the subconscious do the work and make it simple.
And be sure
Yes,
to
let
tell your
yourself.
people at the end, don't, wrestle that to the ground, what you just did. You just did the work, leave it alone,
Leave it
Yeah,
you
alone.
know, leave it alone.
yeah. Let your subconscious mind do its perfect work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
you haven't sorted it out in your conscious mind. So just let it go. Let the subconscious, where the root cause is, let it sort it out.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So let's
Now,
try something.
Catherine, oh, go ahead, Yvonne.
Yeah, no, I'm curious. So Catherine, you said that you had charted the success with the early metaphor work, right? It was about 50%. Have you noticed that it's even more effective now that you're combining that with the astrology
I
moons and
haven't
all?
done the chart to check on it, but the response I'm getting from the clients that I'm using it with, yes, I would say
Yeah,
yes, absolutely. They're
that's
making
great.
changes much more quickly than they ever have before.
That's great.
Yeah. And they're learning more about themselves because I have enough knowledge of astrology that I can, if I have their details and can run their chart, then I can key on a couple of things in their chart, like the house Saturn falls in. That's your greatest challenge, your greatest lesson, and here's what that house is about. And I've done that with clients, and they've said, "Oh, it's now we have rapport because I get what their greatest lesson is, and they're so happy to have that validated." Yeah, adding the astrology in has made a huge difference on in every way that I've worked with clients. It's very exciting. And the more I work with metaphors, the more excited I am that well, aren't we making it a little harder for ourselves than we need to? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Let it be easy. Kelly says that a lot.
Yeah.
Let it be easy.
Hmm. And
And
really, I used to think in my naivete that everybody had the kind of childhood that I did where there were bedtime stories. And after 37 years of talking to clients, oh, nobody read to you at bedtime? That's so sad. But people like stories. If they didn't like stories, they wouldn't watch movies. They wouldn't read books. People like stories.
Mhm.
And
Very cathartic.
going back to what you said about sharing the personal stories, we want to keep ourselves from that, right? But people who are clients that are in stuck states, they generally feel alone. So when you can share and share how you were once stuck and how you have come out of it as well, that really does help them to not feel so alone, that other people
Yeah.
are in the same predicament as them.
It normalizes it.
Yes.
and that
Gives
you
them
were able to
hope.
shift it.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
it builds rapport and it opens them up, which is
Mhm.
ultimately the biggest challenge, because the more open they are, the more they're going to gain the benefit from the sessions that you're doing. So
And I think the key with that is you don't go launch into all the details of your story. It's just, oh, been there, work through
mm-hmm.
that. It can be that simple.
Mhm.
And then they don't feel like they're so out there and weird and odd. Yeah.
Definitely. Catherine, do you have a favorite example of a metaphor to create change?
I think the one that I was talking about earlier, that's my first session metaphor. It's um, it's about taking bags down to the end of the pier, and the bags have all the stuff from your subconscious. You drop it off the pier. I have seen clients make breakthrough after breakthrough with that. They're in tears. They're not sure they want to drop those bags off. They're relieved when they're gone. They feel lighter. And that was one that I said, I need something for the class today, and that was what was downloaded.
Hmm.
Just make sure you make those bags biodegradable.
That's right.
Yes.
That's
Oh
right.
yeah.
I've gotten
Believe me.
feedback. I've gotten feedback on that. I had somebody say, I didn't put them in the water. I buried them. I'm not contaminating the ocean.
Exactly.
That's why they're
Skip a step.
biodegradable. Yeah.
Skip a
They
step.
feed the, they feed the fish. Yeah, I spent 8 years of my practice initially in Davis. Believe me, I know you better take care of the environment
That's
with these
right.
clients.
Nothing trips somebody faster into analysis than them having to deal with your bags.
And that is their safe sanctuary in case they have a fear of water,
Right,
right?
right. Yes.
Yeah.
Their
Yeah.
safe
And that
sanctuary, protected.
there are certainly other places they can, sometimes I'll ask them, do you want to drop them into the ocean? Or
Hmm.
maybe there's a volcano that you could
Mm,
drop them into and give them a choice.
Yeah,
Send
mhm.
them out on a big slingshot to the sun.
that's beautiful. I like that.
Yeah, that works too.
Yeah. I mean, you can be as creative as you want. The whole thing is we don't care what's in the bags. That's the bottom line.
Just
Don't look
time
in
to let
those
them
bags.
go.
Maybe it's not even labeled. Time to
Just
let it
time to
go.
let them go.
That's it.
Mhm. Kelly, what's your favorite metaphor?
Oh, I said it was the farmer and the eagle. Love that one. Love, love, love it. But I also like the rumble strips one too.
I love rumble strips too. Rumble strips
I
seem like
gotta,
those off the side of the
yeah,
road. You're going off the
yeah. When
lane.
you hit the rumble strips, that means that's your sign that you're going out of alignment, right?
Oh,
It's your
I like it.
warning that you're going out of your lane and into the danger zone. You don't want to do that. Let yourself auto correct and veer back into the lane. Don't try to oversteer. Just acknowledge and allow yourself to auto correct.
My
Mhm.
favorite is the monster pulling you into the hole
Oh
with the rope.
yeah.
That's my favorite one. There's a big, huge, you can't get around this big hole in the
Oh,
ground. There's a monster. You're holding onto this rope. It's trying to pull you in. How do you solve the problem? You drop the rope.
So simple.
So
yep.
simple. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
had people say, you go in and you find out what kind of monster this is and kick its butt.
Well, you could do that.
You could do
Good
that.
luck. you know,
Yeah.
but it also goes to, there can't be a fight if you don't fight, if you don't
That's
participate.
right. That's right.
Mhm.
Drop the rope. It's such the simplest thing, but people just are conditioned for the fight.
Hmm. Another good one that I really like for our coaching conversation is my job is I'm the tugboat that's
Mm,
going to draw you, the luxury yacht, out of the
mhm,
harbor into the wide open sea so that you
mhm,
can travel on the direction you wish to go.
mhm.
That's a good one too. Yvonne, what about you? Do you have one? I know you don't use them often,
You
but does
know,
one come to mind that you like?
well, I forgot that the pier and the dropping the bags is a metaphor. I use that all the time, and people love that. I love it because you do see how much benefit they get from it and how
Mm,
simple it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It is simple. I've adjusted it over the years, but at one point I thought, we need to take a different path back to the sanctuary because they're different.
mhm.
Yes.
We need to honor that. I used to have them take the same path back, and then one day I thought, oh no, they're not. They really have changed. Let's celebrate that by picking a different path to go back that honors who they are now.
Mhm. Yeah, and it can be lined with big, tall trees, rooted strongly into the earth, receiving all the nourishment they need,
For
tall
your
and
earth
steady.
signs, yes.
Standing
Sure.
independently on its own,
Mm-hmm.
Bending in the wind, but not breaking, and giving
grounded.
comfort and shade, and maybe some
With
flowers along the path.
Yeah.
the eagle or the
Hmm.
the hawk floating effortlessly on the current of the wind, perfectly supported.
Hmm.
See,
Hmm.
You just
you're
pepper
weaving
little individual
Mhm.
metaphor droplets.
Yep.
metaphor droplets. I like that. So you're really weaving in all those astrological elements, earth, air, fire, and water.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I love
Mhm.
this conversation.
Yeah.
Catherine, is
This
there
was
anything you want to add to just, have you thought of anything else to just add to just round this out?
You know, Nothing really comes to mind, but I'd say if you haven't, for all of those listening, if you're not using metaphors, use metaphors. Start with somebody else's and personalize it for your client. You don't have to write them all yourself. Just take something that's already written and see how it would fit and where it needs to be changed. Start
I
there.
think I might have seen that Catherine has some metaphors in a book or an entire book of metaphors. I have
Oh,
seen
quite a few.
quite a few. So Catherine Zimmerman has some of these at her website, possibly for sale.
Yes,
Absolutely.
they are. Matter of fact, the paper books are on sale.
And we have links to your website on the AISH website. Is that true?
That's true.
And for Kelly too?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
Her
right.
books really are good, dude. They really
Mm-hmm.
are good.
Mm-hmm. I've seen them. They are very good.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody. This has been a delightful conversation. Hopefully, we'll inspire everybody out there watching to begin using metaphors more often and more purposefully if they don't know, because why not use an easy tool that can make really transformational change for a client?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Love that idea.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.